Welcome into the Family Pet Podcast, the podcast for curious pet parents, where we believe the more you know about pet healthcare, the better pet parent you can be. I'm your host, Michael Shirley, joined once more by brother and co-host Stephen. Welcome in, brother.
Hi, Michael. It's been a while since we've.
I feel like we do really well, and then summertime hits, and all the vacations, and kids doing things, and
conferences.
It's hard to do a weekly podcast, but we're here and still working to release great content, if you will.
Yeah, valuable. It is valuable, and whether it comes out every week or we take a couple of weeks off, it is still.
Nobody's paying us for this. It's free. So right. I don't feel any super big pressure. So, you just got back from a big trip, right?
I did. My wife and I went to New York City.
How was it?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Now, on the air travel, did you share the airplane with any horses?
There were no horses.
No miniature horses?
No, there were no animals on our flight.
That you saw? There might have been some under.
We were early and we sat towards the front. We were on Southwest, and so nobody brought animals because you can generally recognize the carriers.
Right. Well, yeah, coming in and even going up the previous podcast, Dr. Bryant talked about approved carriers for going under the airplane, but today we're going to be talking about carriers that go with you into your general seating area.
In your car.
Yeah. So everybody that owns a pet that takes their pet to the vet has to get it there somehow.
And we have a few clients that could walk, that they are close enough that they could walk, but 99.9% would probably put their pet in a car.
Right.
And transport them.
And 99.9% of those people will put them in a carrier, although we have seen people arrive before with their animal not in any kind of carrier, and also one time a cat in a pillowcase, which is not ideal, especially as a fear-free hospital. We are not in favor of putting your animals in a pillowcase to bring them to the vet. It's not fun for anybody. If you are listening to the podcast today, we are going to be talking about SleepyPod. They are a carrier manufacturer, and it's one that I didn't know about until we started looking into more fear-free options. These carriers are amazing.
They're legit.
Amazing products.
The cat carrier, I actually won a contest a couple of years ago, and I registered at work. It was a work address, so it was a work win, and we gave away a SleepyPod cat carrier.
A classic one, yeah.
The classic. Right. And I had some of our employees who were really bitter.
They were really
because they weren't eligible.
Yeah, they weren't eligible to win. And that's when we first came across the SleepyPod product. And since then we've been total fans.
Big fans.
And this episode has been over a year in the making because we've been stalking these folks down, and we met them at VMX this year and got the ball rolling to have our guest in today. So without further ado, I want to welcome our guest. We have Michael Leung from SleepyPod. He's the co-founder and chief product developer, product developer for SleepyPod. Michael, welcome into the podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, did I get your title correct?
Yeah, product developer, product designer.
Okay, so
I wear many hats over here.
Yeah, and if you are listening to the podcast, you need to go and go to our YouTube channel, Family Pet Health or Family Pet Podcast on YouTube, because Michael's you're at the manufacturing or development center right now, correct?
No, it's the design test center.
This is the crash test facility. So this is where we test our carriers, harnesses, all the restraints, just to verify that they are performing as we intend them to be.
That is amazing. We also have the SleepyPod folks sent us this little crash test dummy here.
That's our dog Max.
Dog Max, we like him. We'll put him right here he can kind of oversee us on the podcast today. He doesn't sit up very well.
Yeah,
he's got his harness
not
on.
Quite balanced.
Now, Michael, can you tell us a little bit about pet safety with car travel in America? Is this a problem, or what is SleepyPod's? You are offering a solution. What's the problem that you're solving?
Yeah, since 2006, we have been researching and developing products to restrain pets in cars. We found out that there were not any standards. Still today, there's no standards set for pet products and pet products in cars. So we decided to delve into this scary space of designing products that will keep pets safe in vehicles while they're being transported. And yeah, there's no national standard, but there are a few states that have regulations, such as Rhode Island, Hawaii, and New Jersey. So they don't have any data. They don't record anything because they don't have standards. But there is an organization called Center for Pet Safety, and they do collect data. And we also collect data from our customers because we have a crash replacement program.
Okay.
We suggest everyone that use our products, and if they get into an accident, we suggest that they contact us and we replace their product for free, because usually when products are in accidents, we're not sure if it has been compromised. Just like baby seats, if you ever get into an accident, you should always have it inspected or replaced. So yeah, we do that for free, and we have about, I think, over 80 customers that have reported that they have gotten into accidents. They send us a police report, and also that helps us develop the product and making even improvements. But so far, all the pets that were in accidents, they walked away safely. So knock on wood, everything was good.
Well,
there was even
that's great.
someone that hit a moose while they were driving with their pet at 60 miles per hour, and then the pet walked away. So we're really happy to see that it really has been changing people's and their pets' lives.
That's amazing. So when I know that I used to ride motorcycles before I had kids, and so I know that they always say if you're ever in an accident or you think that your helmet, even if you drop it, that they suggest replacing it, but they definitely do not do that for free. So you all are taking it one step further by doing that swap out for free. Do people send their products to you,
Yes.
and then you all are inspecting them to make sure that they held up?
Well, yeah, and also we use it to see where the stress points are, if there's any stitching that's come loose. We never send it back to reuse. We always send them a new product,
right,
to replace. But we believe that will help us collect more data, and if we see that there's an improvement that can be made, we will implement it for the future designs. So that helps us as well.
If we step back, when we think about a pet in a car that's in an accident,
yes,
what is the pet at risk? What is their danger being involved in an accident?
Well, for example, if you have a loose pet in the car and you have to suddenly stop, that pet can impact, the pet would be thrown, and it can impact the driver. It can collide with another occupant in the passenger seat or even in the seats behind. So you have a child or someone in the passenger seat, it can impact them and injure. We've had one customer that reported that she was driving on a 2-lane, like a back road, and a truck veered towards their car, and luckily the dog was restrained with our product in the back, because the husband had to swerve through a lot of trees to dodge the trees. So if the dog was thrown forward and distracted the driver, then most likely they would have collided into a tree. So he had to spend 100% of his attention to avoid the trees as he was thrown off the road. So there's a lot of incidences where you might need to focus 100% and not be distracted while you're trying to avoid collision.
Yeah, that you say that distraction part, because I think about I'm one of those pet parents that sometimes puts the dog in the back seat and unrestrained, and inevitably his head is right beside me, and
Oh,
he's
yes,
drooling on my shoulders or whatever.
yes.
And if he hits my head, or I certainly can't look back to check my blind spot because there's just a dog right there. That's probably not safe.
Now, Maverick is a 60-pound
Yeah, German Shepherd.
Can you tell us a little bit about the SleepyPod products? What are the sizes of restraints that you have, that you build?
So from 18 pounds and under, we have the carriers like you have in your studio. I see that you have the SleepyPod mobile pet bed and the SleepyPod Air. So pets that are 18 pounds and under, they should go into the carriers. When they're over 18 pounds, they should use a harness. And our harnesses go up to 110-pound dogs.
Okay.
And we test them at multiple standards. We test them at the US, they call it FMVSS 213, which is the 30 miles per hour baby seat standard. We adopted that standard to test our products. And we also tested at the European and Canadian standards. And our products will keep the pet restrained and in the seat at those impact speeds.
That's really, really, really interesting that you all are basically, I mean, we call these our pet, we call them fur babies and all that kind of
If
stuff.
I'm
Now
a pet parent, that's my
right?
pet child.
And you've taken those same standards that our human car seats and things are tested at. So that's really neat. What else do you all do crash tests and things? I know we have our little crash test dummy here. What does a crash test for pet products look like?
Well, as you see behind us, that is a crash test sled. So that sled is propelled down a track, and it collides against this mechanism in the front, and it generates 30 miles per hour, and the G-force is 20 Gs when it hits. So when we test the products, we want to make sure that the products will keep the pet in the seat, and the webbing and the product does not tear. Carriers, harnesses, we want it to be as close to the seat as possible. When we tested other products that say that they're safe, many of them would throw the pet out. They could be thrown out the windshield. They can be, like some harnesses, they would break at certain points and they become essentially a noose. Like if it breaks at the waist, but it holds at the neck, then it becomes a noose. So that's not good. So we try to make all of the products pass the test. Well, we do make the products pass all of our tests before we manufacture. So we do use the crash testing during our design phase, and we do not manufacture the products until it passes all of the tests that we apply.
All right, so I understand this. I put a harness on. I get a harness that's appropriate size for Maverick. This one on Max here would not be the right size, but I get an appropriate size harness, and I would buckle him in. Using the car seat, using the seat belt in my car, and it would buckle to his harness, and so he's attached in our back seat.
Yes.
And then with the carrier, I've seen a lot of our clients just put the carrier in the car, but we still need to buckle the carrier using the car seat.
Yes. And the carriers also use the seat belts that are in the back seat of the car.
And so all of the carriers and harnesses are designed to be used with the seat belts in the car.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is not true for all carriers. I mean, I know
most carriers that come in with the hard carrier, that's just a handle. That's all it is. But I'm looking here that I can already see how I could attach these to a seat belt.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
Do you all have videos and things on your websites that show people how to install these in their cars?
Yes, we do. We have instructional videos to show how to buckle them in. And we also have videos to show the crash testing that we've done on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we've tested some other products or even our own designs. Some use little short tethers, and those don't work. They allow the dog to extend too far and collide with things. And also we feel that when the pet is on a tether, the pet accelerates, and then it generates too many G's on their bodies. So we try to keep the pet as close to the seat as possible to reduce the amount of pressure on their bodies.
How do you, especially for the harnesses, how do you acclimate your pets to wearing and being restrained if they've never experienced that before? Is there a process that pet parents need to go through?
So some pets, they are used to harnesses and they're used to being in such like a harness device. It's easier for them, but some pets are not used to harnesses. So we suggest putting a harness on your pet while you're at home, letting them get used to it, and then when it's time to go out, slowly acclimate them into the car. I wouldn't just throw a new product onto, whether it's carrier or harness, I wouldn't put that on or put them in it and then go on a trip. I would let them do a test run at home for harnesses, put the harness on, they can run around at home and play in it. And then for the carriers, let them sleep in it, let them have treats inside and play around it and in it. And then once they get used to it, once they become acclimated, then it's time to take them to the car. And then what we suggest is to maybe just go on short trips first, just go around the block or just go to the park. And then once they are familiar with that, then extend the duration of the trip. Like I know some people, they would just buy a brand new carrier or harness, put the pet in the carrier or put the harness on and go on a 5-hour trip. So that's not what we suggest. So slowly makes small steps to ensure that they are used to it and they know that they're going to be having fun. They're going to a fun place.
Now, this harness that we're looking at here on Max, it looks very stout, and which makes sense if it can keep him safe in a 30-mile-an-hour crash. Are these dual purpose? Can they be used for when they actually get to the park and go walking, or do you suggest taking these off and only using these in the car?
Our harnesses, our click-it restraint harnesses, they all have D-rings on the back where you can hook a leash to, and you can use it as a walking harness as well.
Okay.
So you do not have to remove it for walks.
And now, Steve, I'm going to mute your microphone because I want you to take the. I'm going to mute. All right, I'm muting your microphone. Now, Steven is reaching over here and he's unzipping the top of the SleepyPod pet bed. So this, Michael, tell me about who came up with this design, because this is amazing. It's a pet bed that your cat can get accustomed to and lounge around in all the time, and then also uses as the carrier. So whose idea was this?
So the other co-founder, Melanie Lee, and I, we designed this product due to need, because our cats, we wanted to take them out to many places, and we were looking for products that can travel, that can be used at hotels, and also that's safe in cars and vehicles. And nothing existed, so we decided to just design our own products. Like Melanie is a graphic and packaging designer, and I'm a product designer, so we just combined our skills, and it took about 1.5 years to develop this product. And
well, it's really smart for lots of reasons. Number one, if anybody out there has a cat, they know anytime you get a package delivered and you take it out of the box and you leave the empty cardboard box on the floor, the cats get in it. And then you're like, why won't they go in their carrier? It's because they've associated their carrier with going to the vet.
Oh, yes.
But this is, you just unzip the top like Steven has here, and it is a box basically that the cats, and it's fleece lined. It looks very soft.
It's very soft. It's very soft.
Very soft and cushioned around the edges and on the bottom. So it looks like a great place that a cat would just naturally like to lounge. And then when you put the top back on, like the cat gets in it, and you just kind of fold
a dome.
It's got a mesh igloo, kind of look like an igloo sort of. So you just fold that over, zip it in. But what I like about it is that once you get to the vet office, you can just unzip the top of it, and it kind of accordions opens. And so if your cat is scared at the vet's office, we can do almost the entire exam right here in the cat carrier. And I am going to assume that you know how much this weighs. right?
Yes,
Is the product? Yep.
and we do have a label in there that shows the weight of the carrier, and then they can just subtract that weight from
Yep.
the
So
total
we
weight
don't
to
have
another
to.
weight.
Yeah, we don't have to take your dog or cat out of the SleepyPod
Yeah.
mobile pet bed because we can just weigh them with them in there, with them in the inside, and then deduct the weight um, of the carrier itself. So it's a great design. The first time I saw it, I was like, "This is amazing!" And then to find out that it was tested so that it's safe for the pets that are inside it was just a extra bonus for me. I love them. They're great products. Tell us about the SleepyPod Air Carrier here.
So when we were researching airline carriers, we found that most of the carriers were the ones that fit under the seat there were way too small, and some carrier brands they were suggesting that the customer should check which airplane and which flight they're going to be on, and so that they would know what size carrier to order. And that didn't make a lot of sense to us because you might be flying on a different type of airplane on a return flight. So you would have to have two separate carriers on one trip. So we decided to make a carrier that adapts to multiple size seating. So the ends fold up, and that's only during takeoff and landing. You fold the ends up if needed and slide them under the seat in front of you. But during takeoff and landing. But after you're in the air, then you can slide the carrier out and have your pets have the full space. So they have a lot of room for the duration of the trip.
I gotcha. And then it's got a hard bottom,
Yes.
and then it's got zippers on the side, so you can actually set it on top of your rolling suitcase.
Yeah.
and put the collapsible handle through the edge of the carrier, so
Yeah.
you can roll them down the through the airport so that they're not swinging. Because that's
Yes.
one thing that
swinging.
yeah, when you carry just a carrier in one hand, a lot of times people don't realize it, but they're swinging their pet around and getting it
Yeah.
sick. So lots of throw up that happens on the way to the vet office in that regard. Well, so we've talked about the mobile pet bed, the air carrier, the harnesses. Are there any other products that SleepyPod? This is your chance, so we're giving you a free commercial here. Any other products that you all offer?
We have a martingale calming harness, and that's our walking harness that calms your pet. The way it works is, are you guys familiar with martingale collars?
Yes.
Yeah, so we took that concept and put it into a harness. So as your dog pulls, it has a cinching feature that the dog feels like it's being hugged. And so when he pulls, he'll slow down because it feels like he's being hugged. So it's a very gentle process, but it'll remind them, hey, don't pull. And at the same time, it calms them when they feel like they're hugged. So it has a multi-purpose. We have D-rings in the back and also a D-ring in the front for pets that are used to having the connection up front to transition to the rear. But the rear D-rings will do the cinching.
All right. Excellent.
And
what else you got?
Yeah, another product we have is our power leash. So our leashes, we designed our leashes because many of the leashes out there, they do not hold the big dogs well. If it's a big dog, such as you have a 65-pound dog, so
60-pound German Shepherd
so your 60-pound dog might be able to break a lot of the leashes out there. If he's running one way, chasing a squirrel, and you're trying to hold him back,
break my arm.
Yeah. So we worked on designing a special aircraft-grade aluminum hook. We designed it on our computer and to make sure that it's going to withstand many pounds of force. So in combination with our custom-made webbing, we have tested our leashes to withstand up to 1,500 pounds of force. So even like a 120-pound dog won't be able to break that leash or hook. So
the last question I have is about the crash test dummies themselves. So we have Max here, so you can pull them out there. How did you come up with now? What does Max here represent as far as a dog goes, and how did you all come up with the design for your crash test dummies, for lack of a better word?
So for Max, he just represents a dog that's inside of a carrier, and he's filled like the one you have is just a copy, but the original one is filled with lead and copper, so that he's about the right weight of a pet that would be in a carrier. And then what you see here, Duke behind us here, he tests. We have about, I think, yeah, we have 12 crash test pets, and Duke. This is Duke 3.0. This is the third version of Duke. He has instrumentations inside. So some of the dogs, they have load cell sensors. It senses the amount of force that's applied to the body in a crash. We have cameras. We have G-force sensors. So there's a lot of instrumentation to help our design department determine which version of products perform better. So we try to have the weights simulate the actual pets.
That's amazing. I didn't think about the sensors inside them and things. Do you anticipate that we're going to be, I know you talked about the Center for Pet Safety. Do you anticipate that more states will adopt standards so that when consumers are purchasing carriers to put in their cars, that they're going to match certain standards?
I believe so. I think some other countries, such as like United Kingdom, they have such standards as well. So I believe other states will see that.
That's great.
And feel that might be important, because it's not just about the pets; it's also about the occupants in the car.
For sure.
Because, like, for example, your German Shepherd, in a 30-mile-per-hour collision, he can probably generate about 1,500 pounds of force. So you don't want him to collide into any occupants in the car in an impact.
Yeah, I don't want him hitting me.
No.
Yeah.
Bad enough when he's.
Did growing up, did Dad tell you the story about the person who died because the Kleenex box flew off their back in their car, off the back window? No, it was a client. Anyway, my dad always told this story about that, and it has always stuck with me. I'm like, everything in my car is a projectile in a wreck.
Projectile in an accident.
It's time to clean my truck out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, Michael, thank you. Is there anything that we didn't ask you about about pet transport that we should have, or about your products that we shouldn't have? Excuse me, that we should have that we did not? Anything else we should have asked?
Michael's a little out of practice.
I know. Yeah.
Well, if you do not have a SleepyPod carrier or harness, and you're just, for example, if you have a carrier that does not buckle in, the safest place to put it is behind the driver's or passenger seat in the footwell. So that's probably the safest place. Of course, it's best to have a carrier that's buckled in and fully secure. But if you do not have that yet, that's the second safest place, to put them in the footwell.
Great.
That's a good point. For the little carriers, put them in the
back seat on the floor.
In the floorboard.
That's right. Well, good. Well, Michael, thank you so much again for joining us and sharing with us about your product. We're big fans here at Family Pet Health of them, and we really appreciate you sending us these examples that we could use on the podcast today. But we also are really thankful for your time, and most importantly, for the work that SleepyPod is doing without being told that they have to. You all are investing in this technology and research, and we appreciate that. So keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
Before we let you go,
wait a minute, it's not over yet.
But wait, there's more. Before we let you go, we are in the middle of a summer trivia series here at Family Pet Health, where we are raising money for 4 local nonprofits. Each month, one night of the month, we have a trivia guy that comes to the office. We've been planning for this for over a year, Stephen. It's finally happened. And we're doing trivia nights here at our office. So you get dinner and a trivia ticket, like you get to play with your team. It's been a lot of fun. And some of the questions have come directly from the Family Pet Podcast. So here is your opportunity. Do you have a fun fact for our curious pet parents out there? Something that will help them win trivia night here, or at least impress their friends and family at dinner?
Yes. So do you guys remember in the 80s, there was a PSA that went out with 2 crash test dummies? Do you know their names?
Oh, man. I can see them talking to each other.
I
Then they
can't
had kids. Remember that?
What was their tagline?
I don't remember. I just remember what they look like. Kind of like Max here.
Yeah, it was.
I don't.
the crash test.
You've stumped us. What are their names?
Vince and Larry.
Vince.
That's
Larry. Right. They would explode, and then they'd have their body parts holding them on. That's right. I remember that. A key memory unlocked. Thanks.
And I can't remember the tagline.
Do you remember their tagline, Michael?
I don't remember, but I remember
Steven's looking it up.
Watching them all the time when I was a kid.
I don't even know what product they were selling. Were they just trying to get people to buckle up?
Yes, they were trying to get people to buckle up.
So it's from the transportation
very
safety.
Resistant to using the seatbelts in cars.
You know what's weird now is that I feel I've always buckled up. It was a big deal in our family. I feel strange when I don't have my seatbelt on.
Absolutely. You could learn a lot from a dummy.
That's right.
Oh, that was it.
You could learn a lot from a dummy. There you go.
There it goes.
Well, we have learned a lot, not from a dummy, but from the designer of the dummies. Well, we don't think Max is a dummy, but
it's a crash test model.
Crash test pet. So, well, Michael, we really appreciate the time that you've taken and sharing with us a little bit about your product design and something that we should all go home and do a better job of. I know me personally, even we just went on a big road trip with my daughter and her dog. Our dog was in a carrier, but it wasn't buckled
attached.
In. Yeah, we need to do a better job. I could use ratchet straps and things to hold that down in the back. Anyway, thank you again for joining us on the Family Pet Podcast. For all of you listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this episode, that we have helped to make you smarter and not a dummy. Until next time, stay curious.
Thank you.